Hi, this is Kinder from Pencil and Pigment, and today I wanted to talk about one of my favorite pigments, and that's indigo. So I could do like a 20-part series where we talk about the history of indigo in each country. I could do a video about gardening and producing and making indigo. I could talk about the synthetic way they came up with it. Indigo's just, I could dedicate my whole channel. I could. The whole dang thing could be about indigo. And it's absolutely amazing. But I'll just do like a general overview. So the oldest found indigo was from Peru. And in 2016 is when they realized they had found something older than ancient Egypt. It's about 6,000 years old. And a lot of the ancient, I made notes and my notes don't even help me because there's just so much stuff. There's tons of ancient civilizations that had indigo. Basically, there's 3 different plants. There's the indigo plant, woad, and then there's the polygum. And each country sort of grew their own version of it and had their own process with it. And like Japan in the Edo time period, that's when it exploded over there. But for the longest time, India was the major like producer and manufacturer. And then when trade routes opened up, like Europe caught on, it became a whole thing. Then it came to the United States in the South Carolina, and it funded, plantations and, the American, one of the wars was funded by indigo. It was called blue gold. Africa manufactured it, not just Egypt, but West Africa, Cameroon, some of those places. They had huge histories with the indigo plant. And naturally, it's made with different vats. So you have one vat, it's all derived from the leaves. Now, so the leaves are actually called indigo, okay? And that's the precursor to indigo. So you have to cut the leaves, you put them in one vat. From there they soak and you add an enzyme that breaks it all down. It sits there for, hours and hours, producing carbon dioxide, turning everything yellow. It's kind of gross. You move it to a second vat where they have to, stir it, add oxygen back into it. And this helps create the pigment that floats to the bottom. And you gotta clean all the stuff off the top, and then you move it to a third vat where you have to heat it to stop everything from fermenting. And then from there you can, scoop it out, dry it out, form it into hard things for travel and production. It's crazy. That's sort of the indigo plant method, but Japan uses the polygon plant. And so they do a thing with like husks from wheat plants, and they use limestone powder and lye and ash, and sake. They have like their whole process they use for when they do. So every country has their own way of doing it. Every like family run owned place has their own way of making it. A lot of these recipes and things are family secrets. You can still go to certain areas today and check it out. There's still whole towns where this is passed on and the tradition is kept alive. It's just fantastic. And then you start talking about like during the Industrial Revolution, Levi Strauss was like, yes, indigo for my pants. And then that became a thing and nobody can keep up with the demand, so they created synthetic indigo, and that was made in part by the creator of Bayer, which is kind of like, it's a headache medicine in the United States. So the inventor of that helped create, he started the process to help create a synthetic indigo, which we can talk about environmental impact if you want. I mean, some of it's not quite as healthy as it probably should be, but the traditional natural methods are still being used, and woad, the other plant, kind of, that would be the plant to grow here if we were going to do our own process, just because it likes less heat for the gardening thing. But basically the chemical process is just a bunch of reactants put together, and you wait for them to react, and it it creates the indigo molecule. The whole thing is just, it's just wild. And you look at like Mayan blue is a derivative of indigo, and a lot of people have that in their watercolor palettes. And then you look at like how all these different companies handle having indigo. Well, it's not light fast on cotton. For dyeing on wool, it's fine. But once you start adding it to cotton, there becomes a problem. So all these watercolor companies each handled it differently. Winsor Newton uses a combination of a black, a blue, and a violet, I believe. Like theirs is a three pigment hued tube. And Senier uses 3 different colors as well. Theirs is a couple blues and a black. Da Vinci uses a blue and a violet. Holbein uses a blue and a black. Schmincke probably has the worst light fastness, and that's in their Hodrum Aquarelle, which is their artist grade. And they use 2 different blues. I'm using the Daniel Smith, and this is a blue-black combination. So this one is, yes, Seattle. This one has excellent light fastness, which is why I picked this one up. But this one is, okay, indanthrone blue and lamp black. So that is the combination that Daniel Smith took to make theirs. You can buy the actual pigment. Like Gardenista makes a dye kit for $50 US if you want to, you know, cook it over your stovetop, and they have instructions of how to do that. There's synthetic design dye kits you can buy that are under $10, and I'll link all this stuff if you want to know more about the history and the dye kits and stuff. Yeah, it's absolutely fascinating. If ever a class or workshop comes up in your area and you feel like it's safe, I would highly recommend taking them up on that offer, because the making of indigo is so fascinating. And you can still buy the products that are handmade from all over the world. I know Japan right now is not shipping to Canada because of COVID. Right now, as recording this, it's September of 2021. So there's a lot of shipping delays when ordering some of this stuff. But the indigo is still made in tons of parts of the world. There are places still in Africa where they still make this. India still makes this. It's absolutely the coolest thing ever. And all these watercolor companies are trying to, they know we want light fast products. So because these are combinations, these are hues, which means there are more than one pigment in each tube. You wouldn't really want to use these for mixing, because once you do that, it's going to start to muddy and turn brown, because you don't know what color within the tube is the strongest that becomes expressed with the mix. So if you want to, I'm just doing, you know, little monochromatic things with it. If you want huge sweeping backdrops of ocean waves just with the single pigment, then yeah, I would say pick up one of the hue formulations that some of these companies are creating. You can still buy in a pan, in a tube, the actual indigo, but know that, I mean, just for mixing and stuff. You can see it in some of the old paintings from the 1600s, Rubens and a bunch of these artists that did these Renaissance paintings, they're fading. And where they tried to use it like underneath other colors, it's holding up better, but there's a lot of restoration work that has to be done to save some of these artworks that have used just the straight indigo pigment because of the light fast problems. So I would say do your research, figure out what you want in an indigo, what you would use it for, if you would just want to do fun monochromatic things, or if you want to try mixing it and work on color theory with some oranges and umbers. That would be really cool. It's such a really fun, beautiful color that a lot of people wear synthetically on their pants. That's been around for 6,000 years that we know about. I hope everyone has a wonderful day, and I will talk to you all tomorrow. Bye.